Swifter! We're going to learn how to get the device location. We're going to work with Apple's CoreLocation library. We'll ask user permission to get the device location. We'll get the device coordinates. We'll learn to look up information about these coordinates with reverse geocoding so we can find out information about the location where the device is, including that place's name. That means we're going to learn about place marks. I hope you're ready for some place mark Pilates, because you're about to work your core location. Giddy up! So, as we work with CoreLocation, Apple's set of methods and data structures for working with the device location, we can ask ourselves our favorite key questions that we ask when we're working with something new in iOS. Do we import new frameworks? Yes, the CoreLocation framework. Do we have a delegate or data source? We have a delegate. And the way that we're going to implement this is in a CL Location Manager object, and we'll actually set the delegate down in an extension once we're sure we need to get the user's location. Now, protocols, yup, we have the CL Location Manager delegate protocol, not surprising since delegates and protocols usually go together. And required methods, yes, there are required methods with a bit of an asterisk next to it. Xcode won't put these in as required methods once we set up our extension, but our code will crash if we don't have them. So you should consider these to be essential, and you need to remember to put these in each time you work with CoreLocation. Anything else? Yes, we need to set up privacy settings in our info plist. So just like when we worked with the camera, the photo library, or sending notifications, iOS requires your app to have explicit user permission before it's allowed to get the device location. Now, there are two settings in the info plist, and we specifically need to set them both up. So when in use usage description and always in when in use usage description. I know this sounds redundant, but we need them both. In fact, let's do the info.plist settings first, since these are otherwise easy to overlook. So we'll head back to Xcode, and we'll find and click info plist in the project navigator. In the last row, leftmost column in your info plist settings, you'll see a plus sign will be revealed in a little circle where you hover around where my cursor is. You want to click on the plus sign. Now you can scroll down here, but you can also type to jump to a location. So I'm going to start typing the word privacy, and it's tough to read what's in here, but if you go up to the top of these columns, you can drag them over to the right just like you can with columns in an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. If you type in the word privacy, that will jump us down to the privacy settings. Then just go to the right of where you've typed, and you see these up and down pointing arrows. Click that, and a menu will show up to allow you to scroll through and select all of the plist options. Find the one that says privacy, location, when in use, usage description, and select that. And then we'll click a plus sign again on this line, and we'll add another row, and then start typing the word privacy. And I'm going to scroll down here and select this one that says privacy, location always, and when in use usage description. Now double check to make sure that you've got the correct two options that are selected. Some of them sound familiar. You want to make sure that you've got these two, when in use usage description and always and when in use usage description. Then click to the right and enter the message that should show up when your app asks permission. And I'll enter the message, WeatherGift needs the device location in order to display the local weather, and then I'll highlight this, copy it, and I'll click on the line below this and paste it in there as well. So I'll use the same two messages. That's all we need to do for the info plist settings, but these are very important. Forget these and your app won't be able to get the device location. Now the remainder of the work in these key questions is all going to be inside of the location detail view controller, so let's head over there. And we'll import CoreLocation. We'll also declare but not initialize a CL Location Manager. So just below where we have our weather detail variable, I'm going to say var location manager CL Location Manager. And notice what code completion says. It's the object that you use to start and stop the delivery of location-related events in your app. Perfect. Press return to accept that. Then make this an implicitly unwrapped optional with an exclamation point. And now we can do just about everything else inside of an extension. So we'll go to the end of our code, we'll put in a new extension by saying extension space location detail view controller CL Location Manager delegate, open and close curlies. Now, unfortunately, Xcode won't volunteer to stub you, but if we go back over here, the two methods we need are did update locations and did fail with error. So we'll enter those in. So back in our extension, start typing in did update locations. You see this location manager function up here. It says tells the delegate that the new location data is available. Press return to accept that. We got a stub. And I'll put in a little to-do comment to say deal with change in location. And then down below here, I'm going to type in did fail with error. I want this one here where the description says tells the delegate that the location manager was unable to retrieve a location value. Press return, another stub. And I'll put a to-do comment in here, deal with error. Now up top, I'm going to write my own function. It's not one of the ones that's listed here, but this is the function I'm going to call when I know I want to get the device location. And I'm going to call this get location. So I'll just say func get location. I'm not going to pass in any parameters, open and close curlies. And then inside, I'm going to initialize the location manager I declared up top, and I'm going to set its delegate to the view controller. So I'll say location manager equals CL location manager, open and close parens. And on the next line, location manager dot delegate equals self. Then I need to call get location, and I'm going to do that up in view will appear just before I update the user interface. Now, the first element in weather locations in that array that I have is going to hold the device location. So all the other locations are locations that we picked with Google Places. So I only want to call get locations. I only need that if I'm looking at the first element in weather locations. That's at index value 0. Now I keep track of the location that I'm looking at in this variable that we created called location index. So I'll just say just before my call to update user interface, if location index equals 0, that's the first element in weather locations, open and close curlies, and then call get location. Now down here inside of get location, I'm going to put in a comment that says creating a CL location manager will automatically check authorization. So as soon as I initialize this, it's going to call a function called did change authorization. That's where I check my authorization status, meaning did the user give permission to use the device location. So this next function I'm about to write is called automatically when I do this initialization in get location. So I'm going to check the status. I'm just going to type in the line down here, did change authorization, and this is the option that I want. Notice what it says in code completion. Tells the delegate its authorization status when the app creates a location manager and when the authorization status changes. Press return to accept this. And I like to write a little helper function to handle all of the things that I need to do for authentication. I'll put that right below did change authorization. And I could call this anything, but I'll say func handle authentication status, and then in between parentheses, I'm going to pass in status colon, and that's this option up here, CL authorization status. So I'm going to double click to highlight that type, copy it, and I'm going to paste it in down after my status colon in handle authentication status. Now, CL authorization status is a special Apple type, and that's got a limited number of options. It's called an enumerated type. So either it's denied, restricted, allowed. Now I'll show you how we can get all of these options in the enumerated type and work with them in just a bit. But first let's put in a print statement that says checking authentication status. I'll put 2 police officers in front of this as my emojis, and then I'll call handle authentication status, and for my status I'm just going to pass in status, which is the CL authorization status that's passed into this function did change authorization. Now in handle authorization status, we need to respond to any of the status conditions. Now status is an enumerated type. There are a specific limited set of values that status could possibly return. So we'll respond to the appropriate one using a switch case statement. So I'll type in switch status, open and close curlies, and there's a neat trick in Xcode with enumerated types. So we'll wait a moment and Xcode will show this red error ball. And if we click on this ball that says switch must be exhaustive, Xcode will offer to add the missing cases. Click fix. Nice! Look at all those individual cases. These are all the cases that we could get back in status. So now let's fill out each of these cases. So the first one is not determined, and when it's not determined, what we want to do is call on location manager. We'll say location manager dot request when in use authorization, and you can see by the code completion requests the user's permission to use location services, and it will show that info plist string that we put in before. For restricted, I'll put in a to do comment, handle alert. For denied, I'll put in to do, handle alert with ability to change. I'm going to take always authorized and always when in use and put those on the same line. So in a case statement, you can just combine them by putting a comma in between. It's essentially an or, if this is true or this is true. And if either of these are the case, we'll call location manager dot request location. This is how we get the user's location. So the code completion says requests one-time delivery of the user's current location. That's what we want. Press return. And for the unknown default, I'll put in a print message that says developer alert, unknown case of status. I'll paste in handle authentication status in status, and I'll put in double angry emoji. Hopefully we'll never see this, but Apple requires us to do this with this option just in case they add to status options in the future. Now I want to display alerts in this app, and one of the things that we can do is reuse the UI view controller extension that we wrote to show a one-button alert. So I'm going to open up my to-do list project and copy that file over. And so here I am in to-do list. I am going to find in the project navigator UI view controller plus alert. That's the extension file. And I can click on it and then drag this. And while I'm dragging, I can command tilde to switch to the other project that's behind this one. It's my WeatherGift project. I'm going to drag that and let it go just above the main storyboard is a good place for this. Then this dialog box will pop up. Make sure that you've got the same option selected that I'm showing here. This will make a copy of the file and put that copy of the file into your project folder. I'll not move the file or link to the single file. And then click Finish. And once you Shift Command K, you should have access to the one button alert method for any view controller in this project. Nice. Now let's use this. Right in case restricted, we'll say self.oneButtonAlert. The title will be Location Services Denied. And how about for message? It may be that parental controls are restricting location use in this app. Now when denied, in the next video I'm going to show you how to write a special alert that brings the user to the preferences settings for this app so that they can change it. But for now, you see we're getting this error that says case label in a switch should have at least one executable statement. We're going to put the statement break underneath to do, and what that does is it acts as an executable statement that does nothing, but it'll silence that error, and it will consider this case to be over, and it will drop to the closing curly in the switch statement. Now assuming our status hits and it's either authorized always or authorized when in use, our location manager will access request location, and when the location is found, it'll call this function down here that says did update locations. So in here what I'll do is for now I'll just put in print map emoji updating location. So now I'll build and run, no errors, and the flow of control is when we're at location index equals 0, and that's where we are when we first run our app, our code calls getLocation. Now this initializes the location manager, it sets the location manager's delegate to self, so right after the location manager is initialized, it does call location manager did change authorization status, just to check the status. That's why in the console we printed out a line with police officer emojis checking authentication status. That will call our helper function handle authorization status. Now the very first time you run this app, the status for your app will be not determined. Location manager.request when in use authorization is called. Then this dialog box pops up in the app. Notice this message here contains the text that we entered in our info.plist setting. WeatherGift needs to access the device location in order to display the local weather. I'll select always while using the app. That changes the authorization status, so the location manager did change authorization status is called again. The second police officer print statement shows. Handle authorization status is called a second time. This time the status reports that .authorized when in use was pressed. That's what I just selected. This uses the location manager to request a location. When the location is returned, this function did update locations is called, and the app prints this line with a map emoji. Good, we're getting here. This is the setup. Now let's get the device location. So now let's work in this function did update locations. When our location manager has a location, it calls its delegate, which is location detail view controller.swift, this file. And it sends a message to this function, did update locations. Now up here we can see that it passes in an array of CL locations. That's just how Location Manager works. It tries quickly to get locations, it may get a few options, and typically the last one in this array is the most accurate value. So we'll just work with the last one, and we'll get that by saying let current location, that's where we'll store our current location, equals locations, that's our array that's passed in, dot last, which is the last element in the array. Now this is going to return an optional. What we'll do is use nil coalescing with 2 question marks, and if we get a nil, we'll just pass in CL location, which will give us a bogus location with 0, 0 coordinates. Shouldn't happen, but in case we got a nil, at least we won't crash. Now, just to check, let's print out our latitude and longitude, our current location. So I'll move my print statement down here, and I'll say current location is string interp, comma string interp, and inside I'll say current location dot coordinate dot latitude and current location dot coordinate dot longitude. Now we'll build and run, no errors, and hey, current location is 42.3347, comma, minus 71.170. You probably have something else in here, or you might have nothing at all. Let me show you where your simulator gets that location from. If you go under Features and select Location, Mine currently says custom location. If nothing is showing up for yours, it's probably because none is selected. Most people have Apple selected, so the current location is whatever the coordinates are for Apple's old headquarters at One Infinite Loop in Cupertino, California. Note that the simulator doesn't use GPS or any other capability inside of your Mac to get the location, so it's always going to be whatever location you've got set in here. And it's not very reliable in terms of resetting this, so oftentimes if you go and you reset the location or you choose one of these other options, you may have to quit the simulator, get back in, you might have to do it a couple of times, so just be aware of that. If it looks like it's working a little bit fritzy, sometimes that's how it behaves. I think you see here I started 3 times before the new location for Apple's headquarters showed up. Also note that there are some other selections in here. So if you wanted to simulate a city run or a bike ride or a freeway drive, that's how frequently the simulator will update those locations. This is so that you don't have to actually develop your apps while you're driving around on a bicycle or by driving your car. I do not recommend programming while driving. Now notice if you do select current location, you can put in a latitude and longitude and select OK. Just know that you're probably going to have to quit out of the simulator and restart before it's recognized. You might even have to do that a couple of times. It should eventually pick this up. I put in the latitude and longitude for my office in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. If you want to put in a particular latitude and longitude in your simulator, what you could do is just head over to Google Maps. So here I am, I searched for Boston College, and then I'm going to right click where it says Boston College. And if I select the What's Here option, at the very bottom of this dialog, it'll show me the latitude and longitude of the location I selected. Now you can copy these values one at a time. Do make sure if there's a negative value in here that the negative value is being copied. Sometimes it doesn't. For example, I'm going to right click on my longitude value, I'm going to copy it, then I'll go up in here and add it as my current location, and notice it didn't pick up the negative value. So just be aware of that. That's another thing that can sort of set developers off, wondering, hey, how come I'm not showing the location that I put in? But feel free to try that out, and do know if you're not getting a current location, you might have none selected in here, so you definitely want to check those settings. Now there are a lot more details on how you can simulate location. There are additional settings under Product Scheme and Edit Scheme. There's also an option to put a file of simulated locations in your project. Apple and others have lots of resources online where you can learn more. Alright, we've got the location coordinates, but how do we get the name of the place at this coordinates? Well, for that what we want to do is use a technique called reverse geocoding. Now that's going from coordinates to a user-friendly place name. And to do this, we use an Apple object of type CL geocoder. Once we create a geocoder, we'll call a method called reverse geocode location. We pass in a location. We've already got our current location, and this is either going to give us information on what's at those coordinates, or it'll give us an error. And then in the completion handler, we can do whatever we need to with the results we get back. Now, if reverse geocode location doesn't give us an error, it's going to give us an array of objects called place marks. So they're very similar to the GMS place objects that we used in Google Place Autocomplete. And these are all the properties that we could potentially get from a place mark. There's no guarantee all of these will be present, so be aware that you might have to deal with optionals. But we're going to reverse geocode, then we'll have the current location and we'll have a place name, hopefully. And once we have these, we can modify our weather location for element 0. Remember, we only get the device location for the first element, or what shows on the first page of our app. All the other locations that we swipe to are locations that we got and we set using Google Place Autocomplete. So that's why we only called our getLocation method for location index equals 0. And then, once we make those modifications to that 0th element and weather locations, we can call update user interface, and that should show the name and the weather for the location provided by the device. So let's code this. That we know what to do, we can set this up really quickly. We'll just say let geocoder equals CL geocoder. We can see what code completion says about this. It says an interface for converting between geographic coordinates and place names. That's what we want. Press return. Make sure you open and close parens, so we're creating an object of that type. Then we'll use it below. We'll say geocoder.reverse, and the option I want here is reverse geocode location, where I'm going to pass in a location of type CL location, and I'm going to process the results in the completion handler. And you see code completion down here says submits a reverse geocoding request for the specified location. Press return, that's what we want. What's our location? This bad boy up here, current location. I'll copy and paste that guy in. Then I'm going to double click on completion handler so it writes it in the trailing closure format that I like so much. And let's refer to the place marks as place marks and the error as error. And we want to set up a location name, but we're going to possibly change it to different things depending on whether or not we get a place mark back. So we'll say var location name equals and an empty string. And then we'll set up an if condition. So we'll say if place marks does not equal nil, that means we've got some place marks back. Then we'll get the first place mark, so we'll say let place mark equal place marks question mark dot last, again the last element in the array. Then we'll say underneath this, assigning a place mark to location name equals place mark question mark dot name. Look at this. This guy might be an optional. So if it is, we'll use nil coalescing question mark, and we'll say if we don't get a name, parts unknown will be the name. Else, we'll print an error message to the console. Error retrieving place, error code string interp error, angry emoji. And if we get that error, we'll set location name equal to could not find location. Then just to make sure that we've got everything at this stage, we'll print out location name equals string interp location name, and we'll double map emoji this. Now let's build and run, see what we got. Hammer time. Build succeeded. No errors. And hey, if we look down here, we've got location name equals Boston College, which is the location that I had put in there as my custom location coordinate in the simulator. Fantastic. Whoops, I'm noticing up here I should have put in a question mark dot localized description after my error. But this is looking good. So now if we have our information, we want to call update user interface. But before we do that, we need to update weather locations 0. That's the page that we're looking at. That's supposed to be the device's location. And so if we scroll up here to update user interface, we can see the way that we actually get that weather location. That's accessing the page view controller and then the weather location at location index inside the page view controller. So okay, we'll use this knowledge in our completion handler in the reverse geocoding. And I'm inside a closure down here, so I'll have to say self.update user interface. And I'll put in a comment that says update weather location 0 with the current location so that it can be used in update user interface. Because remember, if we don't reach back and update weather locations at index 0 before we call update user interface, and when we call update user interface, we're still using the old coordinates that we have and we don't have a valid place name. Now I'll highlight and copy these two lines. Command C, go down here, paste those in after this comment just before I call update user interface. And I don't need to create a constant here. I can just go ahead and update pageviewcontroller.weatherLocation at location index. So I'll delete weather location equals and I'll update this value directly. And I'll update my comment, get location only called when location index equals 0, just to remind you what's going on here. And then we'll say this value here, pageviewcontroller.weatherLocation in brackets location index dot latitude equals, I'll copy this statement up here, current location dot coordinate dot latitude, paste it down below, then copy this statement for latitude, paste it in but change latitude to longitude. Make sure I also update my name, so I'll copy and paste one more time, dot name equals, and that'll be location name. And I can cut out this print statement with the maps because I know that I've got my location name. And let's see, I gotta put a few selfs in here for a location index because those are class-wide properties. Self. Whoop, and the error is grumping at me right here. So let's see. Oh, I need to force unwrap that with an exclamation point. But I can do that because the only reason I would be in here is if I got an error. Let's build and run. It doesn't say current location, it says Boston College, and this is the current weather. Look at this. We got the current location, it was from the simulator, then we used those coordinates to reverse geocode, we got the name, we updated weather location 0, we called our update user interface function, where we got the weather location for our device's coordinates, and updated the user interface. Nice! Now, if we watch our console while I swipe forward a couple of times and then swipe back, swipety swipe, I can see that I am not falsely checking location for anything other than Boston College. That's my first page. That's the only page that we'll call get location to get the device location. If I take a look down on the console, I can see that's the only page with the little map icon printed. This is working perfectly. Congratulations, Swifter! Now let's just add an error statement down here in case we failed with error, so we'll put in a print statement, error, string interp error dot localized description, fail to get device location. And you know what? This reminds me, I'm going to remove the reference to force unwrapping the error up here. I don't know if there's a situation where the place marks might be empty, but also if there isn't an error code, but just in case, I'll eliminate force unwrapping the error. That seems like it might be a little dangerous. It'll probably never occur, but we'll just say error retrieving place here. Now, Swifter, we're nearly done with WeatherGift. We learned to request permission to get the device location. We learned to get the device location coordinates. We learned to reverse geocode, and we learned to only call this when needed. You really exercised your core location. Keep at it, Swifter. Next up, we'll fix that to-do comment that we put in so that we can prompt the user to change their privacy settings if we can't get a location. We'll also finish up the About screen and add an icon so you can put this on the app of a loved one and impress them with your skills. Sunny days ahead for your Swift career. Keep at it.